Good morning out there. It is Coach and Kreuz on a Saturday morning, the 25th
Sunday
of
morning.
Sunday. I don't know. God, maybe it's all that sleep I got. I just got lost in the date. I was looking at the date. It's the 25th. It's also championship weekend in the NFL. We'll be talking about NFL playoffs today. Warriors basketball injuries, all that other stuff that happened to them. Um, Maybe a little Major League Baseball hot stove type stuff. The season's getting started there. Other baseball stuff, coaching baseball, and we'll kind of dive into some AI in sports. How will AI affect? It already does, but we'll dive a little deeper into what we think, how it'll be used. And also, we got weather report, right? The whole entire country seems to be scared of this big freezing cold storm that's not hitting California, though it is cold, in my opinion, for us out here. But I'm just pissing into the wind when I say it's 50 degrees out and it feels cold when everything else is minus all over the country. So, anyway, Kreuz, how's it going? What's new?
Everything's good. We got back from our trip on Monday. I had a day off on Tuesday. Thank the Lord. We had a good time. We'll call it that. Boys showed up. You were there for Saturday. We had a lot of us there watching the Bills and Niner game. We partied like rock stars, like we do. We partied like we were 21, and by the time Monday night came around, we felt like we were 45. So it was good. It's a good time. I got to see my dad for the first time in a while. I got to see my brother. Got to see you. Got to see a bunch of my buddies that live out of town. Watch the games. Not much of the game on Saturday night, but we watched it.
Yeah, Niners game was interesting. Besides the game being awful and whatnot, the vibe in the casino or the bar area, there's just nothing in the game that made anybody get excited. And that's kind of what that whole game was, just kind of a, boring football. And we had a long discussion about losing. Would you rather lose, in overtime, let's say on a field goal or something, versus getting blown out? It's kind of like you kind of know the end is near versus like it being sudden, right?
Right.
So anyway, this week's games, Sunday, not Saturday. I wish it was Saturday. What do you got? What do you got? We're opening up with the who is it? The first one
Broncos.
is the
Broncos.
Broncos and the Patriots.
Yeah. I
But
mean, I think the weird thing about this game, and I do think that I do like being in this position. I do wish the Niners were here, but at full strength on the championship weekend. What you want is no matter what the outcomes of either one of these games, that the Super Bowl is going to be good. Now, I do believe that these are the four best teams. Maybe if you throw Buffalo in there instead of Denver, especially with the injury to Knicks, I think no matter what, you're going to get a good Super Bowl. I think you got some teams that are hot, and then you got the Bo Nix injury. Seattle, throughout the year has been really, really good, but I don't think they've been better than they are now. I think they're kind of hot at the right time. You kind of want to be peaking at this time, and I think right now, especially having the home game today, it's going to be that game. I want to watch them both, obviously. I'm only going to be able to see one of them from my phone because my son has a basketball game. But that 3:30 p.m. kickoff, the Rams Seattle game 3 of their 3 games they're going to play this year. That's the game I think everybody's going to be watching. You're going to get these games are really well viewed by the public, but that game, being the NFC West showdown, they split the season series. The games that they played were very, very competitive. The Thursday night game where it came down to 2-point conversion. This is going to be a good day of football.
yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines. I'm curious what you think of the quarterback situation. I feel like if you look at like the Niners, if your backup is good enough. When you have enough good people around you, you could do well. And, backup quarterbacks have also won Super Bowls. Like Jeff Hostetler back in the '90s. With the New York Giants and Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, yeah, Nick Foles. That was that kind of makes that game to me, the Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl, especially against a good Patriots team. It's funny that they're playing the Patriots again in the AFC Championship, but that was kind of a shocker to me. Say we would have got there and Purdy gets hurt. The difference is, we have Mac Jones, who's played and started multiple games this year. I think the one outlying factor, and I think this is what, and don't get me wrong, Denver's got a great defense. They're playing at home, but New England's defense is good too. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to stop the run, right? They're not going to let the run beat them. The thing that I think is the most important thing about this matchup is you don't have Bo Nix's legs. That's the thing that is really, I think, probably his best part of his game is his ability to escape the pocket and run for multiple first downs on third downs. Whereas Jared Stidham, can he throw the ball effectively? Probably he'd probably look okay out there at times, but it's the third and sixes when you got pressure coming up on the edges and stuff like that. Is he going to be able to step up and get that first down where Bo Nix might get you for 25 yards? I think that might be the difference in the game.
Yeah, and I'm not overly familiar with Stidham's game, but I also think that, you've pretty much sat around all year. Now you got to come in, and it just happens to be the most important game of the year. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of that. I don't know what his mental state is, but if you're an NFL quarterback, you should be ready, is my point, is I'm trying to make. You should be ready, but you never know. So, is the moment too bright? He's been around it long enough, but still, I mean, if he gets an early turnover or something, does he crack
Yeah, they showed this thing. I guess he was like a 5-star recruit. He went to Georgia. He was like ahead going into college, like ahead of Burrow and all. They listed the name of guys that he was supposed to be like a higher prospect of. But the bottom line is this, and there's nothing wrong with being a backup quarterback in the NFL. It pays well, and he's on a good team. If they get a Super Bowl ring, he gets one too. But think of how many years he's been in the league. I think he's been in the league like 6 years, maybe. I might be wrong, but somewhere around there. Well, if he was or had the ability to be a starter, he'd probably be a starter in the league already, right? Mac Jones, I'm going back to him. He's been a starter in the league for a long time, and that's why I think, we talked about this before when Brock got hurt in the NFC Championship game, and we had Josh Johnson out there. Career. I mean, I guess he's been, I guess you can call it a great career. He's been playing for, 20 years or whatever, and with 15 different teams. But you want to put yourself in a position that if this were to happen, can you win this game? And I guess we're going to find out at noon today. I think the familiarity with the offense is a good thing, but I just think I just can't see a world where he lights it up. I think he might be okay. I think you're going to see him make the safe throw. But are they going to be? They might be in a position if they can't run the ball, because I would like to assume that the Patriots are going to load the box up and stop the run initially. Is there a world where Jared Stidham throws for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns? To me, I don't see that. And I think that's what the Patriots – I think that's exactly what the Patriots are going to do, is to see if can we stop the run, make it third and medium or third and long, and make Jared Stidham make those tight window throws into coverage. And, he's familiar with the team and the offense, but not in this type of environment and scenario. So I think that, to me, I think the Broncos, if they get turnovers, because, Drake May is young and he can turn the ball over as he did last game, if they can do that and manage the clock, I think the Broncos want to keep this game as low scoring as possible, be able to control the clock, get first downs, run the ball effectively. If they can't do that, I don't see the Broncos winning this game.
Yeah, Broncos, I haven't followed them too much. They're 14-3, but it's like, kind of been a quiet one to me, you know. But you don't get that way by doing good things. I just don't know if they have enough, you know. I mean, injury obviously one thing. They should be rested. They had the bye, so there's a lot of. That's why I think it's closer. I think Sean Payton also is crafty, and he's kicking onside kicks and Super Bowls and stuff. I know you can't really kick onside kicks anymore until you actually need to, but will there be trick plays? Will there? I got to think all that stuff's in there, even though you have the backup quarterback. You're putting it all out there. I mean,
Yeah. The thing
season's
is, to
over
me,
if you lose.
exactly. To me, like, I think people were saying, oh, they're the worst one seed of the last 10 years or something like that. Well, they had like 10 fourth quarter comebacks this year, and they had like 8 or 9 less than 3-point wins. So I think that's kind of a factor. Now, you still have to win the game. So am I saying that the Broncos can't win this game? I'm not saying that at all. But I just think they must play a perfect game, and not, if they turn it over and turn it over a few times, that's where I think that's what the Patriots are kind of banking on. I think the Broncos sort of have to play a perfect game where the Pats can probably make a mistake or two more than them and still have a chance to win the game in the end.
Yeah, I don't know. And we talked about Houston being all that with their defense, and then the Patriots came out and just made them look foolish. So, by playing tremendous defense themselves. So, I love good defense in the playoffs. It's kind of boring, but when a team can't score, even if your offense is struggling a little bit, if your defense is stuffing people, you kind of sit there and go, just, hey, get a couple more stops. We'll figure it out on offense here. The Patriots again, kind of same way. I mean, it's in a way it's been a quiet 14-3 for them. Every time Tom Brady got close, it was like he's God basically, and it was because he was so good that the Patriots got there, and you just don't hear that as much with this team of just a bunch of guys that are getting there. You know what I mean? So good game, great. Records are good.
It sort of reminds me of the year. It was actually the Super Bowl was actually at Levi. I think it was Peyton Manning's last year or second. I think it was his last year. And Cam Newton came into Levi against the Broncos. Cam Newton won MVP. Cam Newton scored like 50 touchdowns. And a lot of people, including me, I wasn't a Cam Newton guy, but I sort of bought into the hype of the year he was having. And then they went to Levi and couldn't do a thing. I'm pretty sure Von Miller ended up getting the MVP of the Super Bowl that year. And it was like, wow, to your point, sometimes, a lot of times, especially in a scenario like that, good defense is going to beat good offense, especially when the lights are so bright.
Well, and I feel like, again, quarterbacks get a ton of credit, as they probably should, to get teams this deep. But the quarterbacks that are left are good, but they're not the story. Obviously, Stidham is the story because he's a backup.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you need all of your pieces to be good, and which they all have. They all, if you really dive deep, they're all good at a lot of the things that got them here. They all run the ball well. They all play good defense.
Sure.
They have good enough quarterbacks, right? That are some maybe slightly better than others. The receivers are good, making play all tight ends.
The cool storyline, I think. I have a bunch of friends that are Raider fans. I'm a Niner fan, but I'm also a Bay Area guy, and I still think that, to me, the Raiders are the Oakland Raiders to me, and they always will be. I like it when the Raiders are relevant. I love the Raiders uniforms and the tradition and what comes with it. The Patriots last year before they got Vrabel were 4-14, so the ship can turn quick, right? They went from 4 wins to 14 wins in 1 year. If you get the right pieces and you draft the right people, this thing can turn around quickly, and the Patriots are the prime example of what that is. and now they're knocking at the door after being one of the worst teams in the NFL for like 5 or 6 years. You get the right quarterback, you get the right coach, you get the right coordinators, you get the right pieces around you, and you draft well, and this thing turns around quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think their division has been not so great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got good teams, but it's not like they're.
You got the Jets and the Dolphins who have been irrelevant. It's a 2-team, it's them and the Bills every year when they're good. And, Josh Allen has been at the top of that division for a long time. But it's nice to see. I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan in the world, and it was really nice to see the run that they went on. But it's also nice to see these 2 games today because they're teams that, the Rams were in it, recently, and they won one like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. But the other 3 teams, like, wow, like cool, turn around quickly. You get a guy like Sean Payton in there. You get a guy like Mike Vrabel in there. I like what I like the most, and this is kind of boring, is you talk about like the game within the game. Is you got 4 really interesting head coaches, right? Sean Payton, who's won a Super Bowl, really really good with offense and really good with people. Vrabel, player, play with Brady, won multiple Super Bowls. He got a kind of an unfortunate situation in Tennessee, and then you got McVay, who's if he's not my favorite currently, he's right at the top of the list. I love how creative he is and what they do on offense and defense, and how much of a motivator he is. And McDonald in Seattle, man, that guy knows what he's doing. They showed this clip. It was before last year, and he essentially, it's like the meeting before the season starts, and they play like these hype videos, and he was coming in and he was trying to be like a culture changer. And whether you want to believe it or not, now you fast forward 20 months or whatever it is now, and look where they're at. I mean, they're pretty buttoned up, man. I mean, if they're good on defense. They are so good on defense, and I think that's the matchup that I think everyone wants to see because it's a division rival. But to me, the head coaching stuff is really cool because you got 4 really quality head coaches.
Yeah, I think that's good. A good point, because it's like I said, and you said earlier, just the different teams that are in there. There's just different stories than the Patrick Mahomes, than the Kelseys, and the just people get sick of hearing that and want to turn the page and hear a different story and read a different book, so to speak. So, that's this year, and that's today, and then 2 more weeks of hearing about it for the Super Bowl. So let's jump over to the Warriors. I've been paying attention a little bit. I was about to go to bed, and Amy, is a big Warriors fan, and she kind of walks into the room, strangely into the bedroom, while watching the game, and just kind of whispers. I was not even in bed yet. She's like, "Jimmy got hurt." And I thought it was interesting that she just worded it that way. I felt like if somebody kind of got, a Charlie horse or something, she wouldn't have said anything. But I think she realized something and this is going to sound bad. I don't really care. I don't pay attention that much, but it made me think like, that's probably worse than, sort of tweaking your ankle, because I didn't even know what he did. Mm-hmm. And then the next morning she, tells me, or I saw somewhere that he tore his ACL. I was like, oh, that sucks, because they're just starting to play pretty good. And the other funny thing that she mentioned the next day was that Juszczyk and McCaffrey were like in attendance.
Yeah, I saw that.
And if you're conspiracy theories of being around people that are always on a team that's always getting hurt, so it's kind of interesting that happened. But I think injuries like that, I hate to see them. Doesn't matter what team, you might hate the team that a guy gets injured on, but it just sucks for the person. It's a long recovery. Like what Charbonneau did it last week with the Seahawks. It just sucks. Just sucks seeing great athletes, great, teammates or whatever, have to have that happen. And then, when it's a team that you pay attention to, how do you think that's gonna? I mean, obviously, I think Butler's a stud. So I mean,
Yeah, and you also hate to see it because he's a guy who's mid to late. I think he's 36. Is he able to come back from this and be his same self? He's sort of, when we got him last year, um, it changed our culture. It was like, you have the mean Draymond Green stuff, and you always have the constant and Steph. When we got him, we sort of became relevant again. I guess he's kind of
yeah,
like the two-way guy that people will, maybe Draymond Green will listen to. I know Steph respects a lot. There's a lot of banter with him and Buddy Hield. So when you see a guy go down like that, especially since we were I think we were 6 games over 500 for the first time when it happened. um, I just think I don't know. We've talked about this in length. I think it's time to blow this thing up, man. I really honestly do, I'm talking about all the way down to the studs, man. I think the one constant you have to keep Steph Curry. I want to. I'm not saying I'm a huge Steph Curry guy. I'm talking. Let's get rid of Draymond Green. Let's if Jimmy Butler's going to be out, until the end of next year. I think it's time to move. I hate to say this. I think you're going to see at the end of the year a mutual parting of ways with Steve Kerr as well. Like as a player, as a coach, he's won a gold medal. The guy's got like 7 championships with coaching and playing. He's won a gold medal. Like it just becomes sort of stale. It's like we've stuck with this core group of guys for so freaking long. And now we're the oldest team in the league. We're undersized. And if you watch these young stud teams that you didn't even know existed, we played Toronto the other night, and they got some decently named players, not like high, not high end guys, if you would say that, and then they drop 147 points on us. It's like, at what point do we just go say, fuck it, man? Let's go. Let's get this thing all the way down to the studs. Steph's probably got 2 or 3 good years left. Let's get some fresh new eyes on the team, and let's just let's get young and fun, like the Sharks are doing.
Well, the thing is that you talked about with Kerr, I feel like 2 things. One, I heard that report that like assistant coaches were talking about it. I don't know how true that is. Sources, whatever. But 2 ways. One, are you talking about what you're talking about, where he sees the writing on the wall, blowing up the team, getting younger, all that other stuff? Or 2, is that like a cop out with him, like we're gonna start losing a lot and I don't want that shit on my resume? Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like, think about it, just hear me out on this. Like he had a lot of those guys there early in their careers when he took over. And, it's kind of like the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick deal. Who needs who more? I always felt like if you give me the Warriors and I know how to coach basketball, in their heyday, I could probably make them pretty good too. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know enough about basketball and Kerr and whatever, but to hear him, or let me rephrase it, to hear that he might step away, it's kind of disappointing, because it's like, dude, now maybe it's because he's a little bit older too, but like, let's see how good a coach you are. Like, here comes the rebuild, moving on from your studs, let Steph do whatever he needs to do, and as he winds down his career. But then, like, all right, now you're trading and drafting and 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 building back up. And that's, I think, kind of, I mean, I feel like NBA coaches go longer as far as their careers than the average human who works 40 hours a week, and retires. Right. So the guy, I think Kerr's like really close to my age, maybe a little bit older. And it's like, I think the guy's got more left in the tank, but like you said, he's done a lot. Heck, I don't know. You know,
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things. Is he willing to, if they end up blowing this thing up, is he willing to put the 3 years of work it's going to take to get us back to where we're, we're where we need to be? And but the problem is though, Brad. Here's my problem, and I totally agree with you. The problem is this: is if we do that and we keep the one guy we're not trading is Steph Curry, and we shouldn't. There's no way he should play for any other team besides the Warriors. Problem being is if it's like a 2 to 3 year rebuild, at that moment Steph Curry's gone. Like it's not going to be with him. So he would have to really buy into this, like not a 2 year plan. It's like a 5 year plan. Do you honestly
well,
think Steve Kerr's going to coach 5 more years?
well, that's the thing too. Like for what you've done as a coach, um, somebody else is going to see the value that might have a team that's kind of like the Warriors, 5, 6 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a owner or something and your team's up and coming and your coach is kind of on the fritz, maybe you call in that guy, and maybe that's part of the reason he's thinking about getting out, because not that he's fielding calls, you're not talking to these other people, but in a way you're looking around the league going, I would have to think he's sitting there going, I'd love to coach that team, whatever that team is, right? Because they've got what you're talking about, youth,
Mm-hmm.
and all this other stuff. And, he's not looking ahead to that stuff, I'm sure, but it's like when it's time to get rid of the parts in the Bay Area, I think he moves. So I don't know. I think it's what you're saying. It's tough. Like that you're talking about the Sharks. They bring in a coach who's super young. And I felt like, Orsovsky was going to be like the sacrificial lamb, right?
Mm-hmm.
He comes in, they're young, they have no chance of doing anything. Nobody, they're in the rebuild, whatever. And, that guy's going to be gone in a few years because they're just going to suck. And I thought they played awful hockey last year. But watching them, I'm like, these guys aren't very good. And then there was moments, if you watch the game enough, where you're like, gosh, they're playing pretty hard for being shitty late in the game, down by like 3 or 4 goals. And to me, that's like the coach has got them going. Hey, we're pushing through whatever hits us in the face, and we're going to play the whole entire game. And again, it was awful watching a lot of it. Now, obviously, you're drafting future Hall of Fame guys and Celebrini and all. There's a lot of guys in their organization that are going to make them good here in the near future. But then to see that kind of effort being played out, currently, and so I'm sitting there going, maybe they got the right guy. Because
it's like a in any sport at any level, it could be high school, college, professionally, at any sport. It's like a culture thing, right? And if the guys that are young and hungry, like you said, these guys are playing hard, maybe not winning last year, but if he's changing the culture of what they're trying to do, and all of a sudden it starts to click, and all of a sudden we're not losing by 3 goals, now we're starting to win, and then the belief, right? It's like culture, and then belief, and once you start to believe, and you start to see yourself win more, now you're like, oh shit, maybe we're better than we thought we were. And maybe this is the right guy that's going to be here for a long, extended period of time. If they were bad again for 2 more years, he's going to lose his job quickly. They're going to move on, just like the Jets do, like a lot of these different baseball teams do. But when you change a culture and you get good pieces and you draft well and you start to believe, shit can turn around in a hurry, and it's turning around in a hurry.
And I think you made a point about the Warriors too. I don't watch it enough, but it is kind of the same stale game.
It is.
When you watch them play, they're small. And if that was a niche kind of thing, which worked for them and still kind of does. But when you compare the two, the Sharks and the Warriors, like the enthusiasm of I'm now watching Sharks games again. I was pretty diehard for several years until they just got unwatchable.
Unwatchable. Yeah, unwatchable.
Unwatchable. Like you can't like ridiculous. Now they're doing things. It's not just that they're more competitive. Obviously, you got Celebrini, who's like worth the price of admission himself.
Right.
He's the Steph Curry of the team, which is fun, right? But then he's the kind of guy, just like Steph, who makes the other players around him better, which to me is the thing. I had told my two sons, I said the Sharks are going to make the playoffs this year. This is like in the summer. I said they're ahead of schedule. They're going to do it this year, and just shock people. Not win a series, but just getting there. And here they are, like right on the edge of doing that. I mean, I know there's a lot of the season left, but it's one of those things you kind of see it coming, and then you see how they play. So, and again, going back to the Warriors, it's like Warriors play hard, and then they get these injuries, and they're old. It's different. It's harder. You're old.
Yeah, they showed the game we lost. I forget who we were playing. Who were we playing? We just lost, and Steph scored 38. Anyway, late in the game, it was Dallas, and Steph gives it all he has, man. The guy's not young, but he's got a motor that just does not quit. And you'd never know how old he was or how he's feeling because he's kind of the same dude all the time. He's a constant, right? And that's people feed off his energy, and that's what we've done for a long time. But they panned over to Steph. We were in the game late, and then they pulled away late because we don't have a closer besides him. So essentially, if Butler, Draymond Green's not gonna close on you. He might play good defense and close the game, but he's not gonna score. They panned over to Steph, and the look on his face, he was just kind of like, what do I have to do? And I think that's the problem. They were talking. We were running like this offense that we run for the Warriors, and I know hoops, but not like that, right? Where I know exactly what I can tell you more about offense and defenses for football, and I didn't even play football just because I pay attention to it a lot. But we're sort of running the same plays that we were running 5 years ago, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe getting a new set of eyes in there with a new outlook and new bodies and young bodies and tall people. Like we don't have tall people. There's no tall people that we can get. Like we get the amount of times we get out rebounded, it's crazy to me.
Do you remember? You're old enough, but when Montana got traded to the Chiefs,
yeah,
and people in the Bay Area lost their minds, right? Because that's the savior, and he should be a Niner forever. Which is, I would think that too, but then you listen to like Bill Walsh and the organization it's like NFL players now different with the quarterbacks, but their shelf life is like 8 years, 10 years, whatever. And they had Steve Young, and they realized the organization, Montana's not getting any younger, so we're going to make this move, and we got this younger guy, and da-da-da. So whatever the fans think, age is going to win here, right? With Curry and Draymond and all these guys. And so what you're saying, I think, happens sooner rather than later. You got to move on, and people are going to bitch and complain. Oh, how do you, those are, but it's the right move. It's the right move.
Yeah,
it's younger.
The Joe Montana Steve Young thing is the exact replica of that. Now, granted, we had more success than these two people. Is the Brett Favre and the Aaron Rodgers thing? I'm sure you remember when Aaron Rodgers finally got the starting job, and people were like, "Okay, this guy's supposed to be good, and he's a first-round pick, and he went later in the draft than he was supposed to. He's kind of a baby," they thought at the time. And they moved on from Brett Favre, and it was this big deal. What's Brett Favre going to do? Is he going to retire? Is he going to go play somewhere else? And the Green Bay people were fucking losing their minds. And then they input Aaron Rodgers and like, oh shit, we're better. We're a lot better with Aaron Rodgers in there. And sort of the Joe Montana, Steve Young thing is very similar in that way. The only thing that's different for me with Steph is if Steph was averaging 17 points a game, I'm with you. Let him go somewhere else. But Steph Curry is still averaging like 20. You know what I mean? So that,
no,
I mean,
I agree that it's
time,
not him.
Yeah,
It's
at the time that Joe Montana went to the Chiefs, at the time that Brett Favre went to the I think Vikings, right? Did that or he went? I think pretty sure Vikings. Like they were, as much as you love them, and they did so many good things for your organization and the fans and the community and all this shit. They were essentially done. What did Joe Montana do after he left the Niners? He didn't do shit, right? I mean, and that's okay. I'm not like knocking on Joe Montana's
he took
career.
them. I think they went to the playoffs and won a game one time.
Yeah.
But they had, remember, the Chiefs were dog shit back in the day.
Oh, horrible.
So
I just want to
them,
see, you know, what I want to see, I guess is what I'm so over, because when you run the Warriors out, it's the same shit over and over and over again. We're going to be in the playoffs. It's fun because we have big name players and our organization's got a new arena and everybody wants to see the Warriors and everybody wants to see Steph Curry, because Steph Curry, if you want to, whether you like it or not, is the face of the NBA. But like, I want to see Steph Curry play with some young dudes, man. Like, let him play with some 22-year-olds and 21-year-olds that can jump out of the gym and can rebound and can get him a second chance three-pointer. Because right now, I watch the Warriors. I mean, I'm a huge Warriors guy. I'm a huge sports guy. Watching the Warriors play, it's like watching the same shit, like watching the same show on repeat over and over and over and over again. And we're going to be okay because we have decent players and we have decent coaches and all that stuff, but we're not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. We're not good. We're not good enough. Just watch us play. You can watch us play a handful of games in a row, and you're gonna like, oh yeah, we can play with these guys. But then when it gets to the fourth quarter, we have one closer and we can't rebound. So that's what you get. You get a 500 team, kind of like watching the fucking Giants play.
Every time I watch the Warriors and Steph goes out of the game, I'm like, play the guy more. And I know he obviously needs rest, but like, I feel like it's rare when he takes a rest that the team like extends a lead or something. I mean, it used to be
call it it's such a thing. They call it like the non-Steph minutes. Like, can we keep this thing fucking? We're up 8, and all of a sudden he takes 4 minutes off, and now we're fucking down 3. Right? I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, and it bugs me because I'm like. And then you watch, it's like a tight game, and I'm like, you can't take that guy out right now.
Never.
I mean, never can, but like at that moment, and then he comes back in, they're down 10. It's like, see? I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about how they and why. But then the other thing is, and I don't, again, know how true this is, but Amy tells me, she's like, this is when Steph sits. I'm like, what? How do you?
Yeah, because
there's a certain point.
Yep, he goes out at the end of the first. What happens if Steph Curry's got 20? So he sits like the last 3 minutes of the first quarter. What happens if he's got like 26 points in the first quarter? So he's like, you know what? Get out of here. It's your normal rest time. It's your This is how
that's my point.
This is how. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. I don't know.
It's like your pitcher's shoving for 5 innings, throwing a no-hitter. And he's fresh and not on a pitch count. Nah, it's time to pull him.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
I don't get it.
That's coaching though, dude. That's straight up coaching. I don't care what you say. There's times if his normal rest time is that time, then great. But if it's rolling, why the hell are we slowing this thing down? Give him rest at the beginning of the second quarter, then, dude.
Maybe he misses a couple in a row after making 10 in a row, and you go, okay, he's lost his shot for a second and he needs a blow.
Yeah, we're up 8 points and there's 3 minutes up in the first quarter. Why can't we make this thing up by 15 and let him rest at the beginning of the second quarter? I don't like how it's so set that he sits these minutes. Like you said, your wife who follows basketball, I love Amy. Why does she know that? You know what I mean? Like, why is it so set? Like,
And when I sit there and sometimes watch, she's like, matter of factly says it. Oh, this is when Steph sits. I'm like, what? And it's like, are you coaching out there? Because
and
like,
then you hear the, and all of a sudden Steph runs off, and the other guy runs off. And like, it's same shit, dude.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But I mean, yeah. And then was it like a month ago or something like Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph like sat out a whole entire game, and like the NBA was like investigating something because like it was a back to back. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, that's a whole nother story, but
it's a joke.
the rest shit is just ridiculous. Like you're getting paid millions and billions of dollars to play basketball, guys.
Well,
Get off your ass, ice your ankle, and play for the people that pay your salary.
Being a fan of all sports and having a family of 5 with my 2 stepkids, me, Logan, and my girlfriend, my son really wants to go to a game. This is I'm so happy you brought this up. If the 5 of us want to go to a game, I have to look at the schedule. Like, oh shit,
right.
We can't go to this game because it's a back-to-back. So maybe Draymond, I'm paying $1,000 for the 5 of us to get in the door, right? Not to mention gas, not to mention parking, not to mention concessions, all these things. So if I buy these tickets in advance, barring injury, I'm not talking about injury, I'm talking about just rest, right? And I'm paying $2,000 on a Tuesday night to go see the Warriors play. I want to go see the Chase Center just like everybody else does. I'm not willing to risk my $2,000 for the simple fact that if for that reason maybe he's not playing, or maybe Draymond's not playing, or when Jimmy Butler was healthy maybe he's not playing, like I would be pissed, dude. Like it's too much money to invest, and so because of that, we watch basketball on my couch, straight up.
No, and that's I mean we've hit on that in previous pods. I just feel like guys should play. Speaking of playing, baseball coming up. I haven't really dug into the off-season stuff with the Giants yet. I'm more concerned about my own team that I'm running here at the high school level. But we were talking before we potted. Rules of high school or any have changed. Last time I coached baseball was 13 years ago, and since then they've implemented like the little league pitch count into high school. And I know you had like rules, you could only throw like 10 innings a week and that stuff, but they didn't limit your I don't remember, maybe they did or they whatever. So that
it was 10 innings a week, and if you pitched more than X amount of innings, you had to have this amount of days of rest. It wasn't like Johnny threw 54 pitches, so he can't throw for fucking 4 more days.
No, and that's where we're at now. And it's broken down. It's 30 or 31, and you could throw the next day. And then from like 31 to, again, I don't have the thing in front of me, 50 something, you need like 2 days rest. And then here's the other thing. It's different for like JV versus varsity, which I thought is kind of weird because it's like a 10 pitch difference or something as the pitches climb up. Like you can only throw like 100 pitches a week, but on the varsity it's like 110 or something like that. Besides your 10 innings. So that also is something. So, now I'm going out and buying like pitcher clickers. I got Amazon delivering the pitch count clicker today. The other thing is, and I know it's been a while, but the coaches having to wear helmets to coach first base and stuff. And that thing happened. Do you remember that minor league coach that got hit in the head?
Got smoked. Yep.
And
That's when it happened. It was like 10 years ago because I stopped coaching high school in 2018, maybe 17, and at that time we were wearing the helmets
yeah.
on in the coaches boxes then. So I think
So
it was like
and
10, 12 years ago.
I knew it existed, but I haven't been a part of it. So it's definitely post 2013, somewhere in there. It might have been right around that time. And then the other thing too, what I find interesting is the major leagues have the pitch calm thing where the catcher
Mm-hmm.
could, and in high school you could do that, and I think that's pretty new, like a year or two old. At least in California, maybe Texas was a little bit ahead of the game. I think maybe, but uh, I haven't seen that technology at Granite Bay. I know they have it. I just haven't seen our kids use it yet. But I'm curious how that'll go, and I'm also curious if they have like I don't know how much those things cost. If we're going to be using it at the JV level, because I'm old school. I was even asking about like scorebooks. And you
No,
go out and scorebooks, and they're like, no, you use like Game Changer, like
I'm
an
gonna say
app.
if you need a tutorial on Game Changer, I will. Maybe I'll have to drive up
Well, my
and.
thing is like, I think the other part of this is I don't, and I think you know me, like I wasn't a big fan of like having parents be involved in anything that is involved in my team. You want to fundraise a little bit? Cool. I don't, just, I don't want some parent doing my scorebook. Um, and so I don't know if I feel like getting my own paper one and having like I used to do. I'd get some kids, I'd get a kid, teach them how to score, and then they were like our team manager to come. Your job is to do this, to do the book, or whatever. But I don't know. I have just like a little bit of time to figure that out.
Yeah,
Um,
the move is this the team manager thing because I am so old school when it comes to baseball. It's crazy. The move is this: get a team manager, buy an iPad, or hopefully your school will buy you one. Buy an iPad, download Game Changer, and have that person be in charge of it. And the cool thing is, if you're like a team manager, they're allowed to be inside the dugout, right? Give them a
right.
hat, give them a polo, give them some
Yes.
gear,
That's why.
which you're
Yeah.
what you're really good at anyway, and have them that way the parents stay away. Like we don't want the parents don't do never, not even I barely let it happen with my 7 year olds. Don't bring little Johnny a Gatorade in the third inning. That's not my problem that you forgot to fill his water bottle up, and now you want to bring him a Gatorade in the middle of the inning. Like I'm having a tough enough time getting these kids focused as it is. I don't need you coming around the chain, Coach. Can you give this to Johnny? I forgot to give him his water bottle. I got this at the snack shack. No, dude. Like that's not happening. You're not, and that's. I'm sure you'll have a meeting with your players and parents, and I'm sure you'll bring that up. Like that is not okay. It's definitely not okay at the JV level. So that's something you need to, you got to nip it in the bud early.
Yeah. I feel like these guys have had they've had baseball meetings. I wasn't there, so I'm wondering if I need to have my own.
I
Like
would.
that. Yeah, I'll talk to the head coach and see. Uh,
I
because
think it.
it's weird how they've never done it before, where they've kind of come like we've practiced together so much with the varsity, and but what's weird is these kids are starting to try and figure out who's staying up and who's going down. And I'm like,
Mhm,
guys, a lot of your sophomores, you're going down. Why? Because you're the JV guys, because
mhm.
you're sophomores. So if you think you're better than another guy, two things. One, you're not. Two, the reason you're going down is maybe you are as good or maybe even better than the guy, but you play first base and the varsity has three first basemen. So,
Yeah, we have a. When I
you
was at
got to,
Saratoga, I believe in two things when it comes to this kind of stuff, and this is the way to keep the parents out of your program. We come up with like a player contract when it comes to like rules and regulations, and you make them sign this contract Like if you miss one practice, it's this. If you miss whatever you come up with, and that way you can go back to like, listen, you signed this. We
Right.
had parents like, oh, you know, and we're coaching varsity and pretty competitively for 5 or 6 years. We had a meeting and one of our parents is like, well, what happens if my son has a dentist appointment on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock? And you know what we told him? Cancel
Yeah.
your appointment.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's other times you can go.
Or
When it's baseball
go,
season,
but the rules are this: you miss practice, so you don't play, or you sit out so many innings, or whatever.
right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a cool thing. I came up with it. I got it off of because I was supposed to go to LSU before I signed. They have and LSU obviously very humid in Louisiana, and when you first start, it's the fall, but it's like August, and in August in Louisiana is not so pleasant. You have to get your practice gear for LSU. This is back when we're talking. Well, I'm dating myself now. We're talking 2002, 2001. To get your practice gear, you had to run outdoor the 2 mile in 14 minutes.
Oof.
And you cannot get your practice stuff until you do it. And I'll tell you what, dude, it motivates you. So at Saratoga High School, I came up with this thing, and I told our head coach, Adam Vardaresian, is one of my best friends, and he runs a great program here, baseball academy here. It's one of the best in the state. Like, let's do the same thing. Now we can modify it. I'm not going to make high school kids run 2 miles because they're going to fail. But we did a thing, like, I don't know what the time was. I think it was like 7 minutes and 30 seconds or 8 minutes. And you had to run before. You can still practice with us, but you couldn't get your game jersey until you achieved that goal. And it's not because it's not a power thing. It brings the people together because now you got the 4 or 5 guys that are struggling to do it, and you got the other guys that are already done it. They're cheering them on, and it brings everybody together. And I think stuff like that is what you're looking for. You know what I mean? And we did that, and he's like, "Wow, how'd you come up with that?" I'm like, "Well, I sort of stole it from LSU because I was supposed to have to run 2 miles in the fucking humidity in 14 minutes. Now, could I have done it? Like, I'm the guy, like, mind over matter, because I'm a runner. I could have done. I could have done it, but I would have pushed I would have died before I got off that fucking track. I can promise you that.
Hey, so speaking of and we could go across this with baseball to start with, but talking about AI and artificial intelligence and sports in general. But did you probably knew this, that baseball is officially going to use the robot strike zone in regular season games this year. So I was reading up on that. First of all, what do you think of that? Second of all, I'll tell you kind of what the rules are, that they're going to be using, which I think is kind of weird. But what do you think of baseball doing that? First of all,
I hate it.
That's strong.
We just talked about old school, especially baseball, and they use the first down marker for football where they show like, oh, get out of here, dude. If you're a referee or an umpire in any sport, what makes sports so beautiful is it's a game of human error, especially baseball. So if you're gonna, now you're talking like, oh, if you thought it was a strike and it could be a ball, all that stuff. I don't know. I mean, I guess that they always say,
I'm going to argue with you then, just to piss you off. What do you think of replay in football?
Oh, I think replay in football is good, but I just think when you
aren't we trying to get it right though? Isn't it just about getting it right?
Yeah, but what's the point of having umpires at all?
No, and I'm with you. I think that here's where I think they probably had a longer discussion, right? So the rules are like, you get like challenges, right? You could challenge a ball or strike call or whatever. You only get like 2 of them. I'm like, so if the ref,
they did it in spring training last year.
Well, my point is that if the umpire is shitty, right, and let's say it's off the plate, enough 3 inches, like, which is a lot for a major league umpire, and you're the batter and it's a ball, or it's called a strike, and you're tapping your helmet or whatever, and what if you're doing that in a couple at bats? Granted, if you're right, you like keep your challenges or whatever, but like if the umpire's having a bad day, like we're going to be sitting there forever. I thought baseball was trying to cut down the time. I have to think they thought of all this stuff, but if you lose the challenge, it's the same thing. You lose them, and then it changes like in extra innings or whatever. I'm reading it right now. Let me read this whole thing to you. Okay. Human calls. Human calls. Umpire makes the initial call, balls and strikes. Challenge. The pitcher, catcher, batter can tap their helmets to challenge the call. Automated review. Stadium cameras track the pitch's path to a predefined strike zone, which is another strange thing. They must adapt it to the different size of like the hitters and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's got to change, right? The
right.
decision. The system electronically transmits the correct ball or strike to the umpire, then signals it. Then it says here, challenge retention. If the challenge is successful, the call is overturned. The team keeps their challenge. Here it is. Team gets 2 challenges per game, with more available in extra innings. So, I mean, like I said, if the umpire's having a bad day and you're constantly challenging, even if you're winning, do you only get the 2 challenges out even if you win them, or do you get them back? I have to think you get them back.
You probably get a total of 2, and if you lose one, that becomes 1, I would assume.
Right.
And then you're stuck at 1, right? It's kind of like Survivor, and if you're picking teams in football, if you win,
right. But I'm saying if the umpire is shitty, and after let's say he gets a couple right and you're wrong when you challenge, now he hoses one late in the game, and it's just like football, I guess. If you don't have a challenge, you're stuck with the call. I don't know. I think that's going to
that's going to be a problem. And the thing is, the good news is those umpires, as much as I cannot stand umpires at any level, those guys are pretty good, really, really good. I remember my last spring training, and this is what it was so crazy to me. I was in the minor leagues forever, and I got to go to big league camp my last year, and I was at the plate, and I would take a pitch. I'm like, okay, that's a strike. And he'd go, ball. I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, where I play, that's a fucking strike, man. Like, thank you. That's how these guys, because they're also getting graded as well, right? And so, and it comes down on them because they want to be as good as possible. Because then, if you are really, really good, you get playoff series, and then you get LCS and league championship series, and then you might be able to umpire in a World Series. And so those guys get bonuses for doing all that. So they get bonuses for being good. So they're pretty good. Those guys are actually really, really good. Umpiring is at any level is so difficult, and nobody understands that. It doesn't mean I don't think they suck, right? That's just kind of the part of the player in me. But I think that's going to cause the game to go a long time, just to have the opportunity for the guys to look over. Are we looking in the dugout and like, are we challenging this or not?
Well, I feel you've seen it, right? I mean, batter taps. He looks back, and the umpire just waits for the official call. They don't have to like put headphones on or anything. It like comes.
No, I know.
Quick. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the problem, though. Is the challenge only coming from the player? Or can Bo Bichette look in the dugout and be like, "Are we going to challenge this?" Because remember, there's a pitch clock too.
I know it says the pitcher, catcher, or batter can tap their helmet. So I don't think you as a coach have any say. So I feel like that's another piece of this, right? So if you blow your challenges, what do you're trying to talk to your guys as a coach.
Right. I'm interested to see once the season starts how this all really. I guess until you see it like in action, it's hard to understand what it's going to look like. But
I mean, I've seen it.
I don't know. I don't like the.
I've seen how it goes, and it goes pretty quick. The thing that I'm curious about is all the stuff we're talking about, like you challenged and you've lost them, and the umpire blows a call later. You're stuck with it. Now we go extra innings. Do you get one back? All that stuff. Just I'm curious. I'd like to see. I have to think if they're gonna do it in real games now. Like there's money on the line for bettors and all that stuff. I feel like you got to feel real good about.
They probably have
implementing
it, but more, they probably have it more buttoned up than we're kind of sort of guessing on how it's going to look.
Yeah, and that's I think it's kind of like replay. It took a while for everyone, but I'm sure they thought of the thousands and millions of dollars that were, and jobs that were lost because of calls and whatnot. And everybody wants to get it right. And how, the technology these days, you forget about AI. That's cool that they have this. It's so smart now that they could really pinpoint edges of the strike zone and stuff. But before that, it's just the camera technology, the clarity of everything, right? How different it was back in like the 80s, 90s, whatever, even early 2000s. Just the camera angles, the clarity of slow motion, all that stuff. Like we're spoiled to death. People don't even realize it. You got your high def. That's why everyone gets all pissed off. Oh, he dropped the ball, NFL games or whatever. It's like super slow mo. And the ref screwed that up, last week with those catches, non-catches, all that other stuff. I get that, but you're also looking at like 1 frame per second, and the ref saw it live one time, and we've seen it now 10 times in the last 30 seconds, and we're all pissed off or whatever. Anyway, the point being is everything with that stuff, all that technology has gotten so much better, and leagues would be dumb to not use it, right? To make the game
implement it, yeah.
And sure. I'm sure, I mean, like soccer is used. They have like a goal line thing with the ball. They have different angles, and if the ball's completely over the line, they have I forget the name of it. It's got like a weird acronym for like offsides. So yeah, that's tough to see. I mean, soccer sucks. So sorry, all you soccer fans out there, but that offsides thing, it's now they time it up with the guy kicking the ball, and it's like certain, like his toenail is just past the guy. They could like angle it down. It's like, why are they doing that? Because people have been screwed over so many times and winning or losing and betting on.
Yeah, for me, I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to be, as long as it's the flow of the game stays fine. I guess I'm okay with it.
Well, and what's funny is we talk about basketball. The basketball challenges are ridiculously stupid. I hate all of them. And it's not even AI stuff. It's a challenge stuff.
Yeah, he puts the headset on, and then he goes over there, and then he pushes the button. After further review,
and just like you looking at your screen,
it has been determined. That's what I'm doing. It has been determined that it is a flagrant foul, one, and Draymond Green is now ejected for the fucking 16th time this year. Thank you.
Well, here's the other thing that bugs me is like, was it a flagrant foul? No, but over there, that guy punched Steph Curry, and we're going to call that foul.
Yeah, common foul.
But not even that. You're calling like shit that's not even in the play. Yeah. Like, was he over the back? No, but Draymond punched that guy over there, so that's a flagrant, and we're going to call that because we missed it. And I'm like, you can't call something else that you didn't even see. That's what makes me like, oh my God, if all the other sports did that, how many times like, okay, let's challenge the catch rule in the NFL, but oh, by the way, the left tackle held the shit out of Bosa again,
yeah,
and
yeah,
let's add
yeah,
that on top of it.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's crazy.
mean,
I want to, I wanted to ask you. I know you kind of just really quickly because we were watching the game together. We were kind of in the moment. What were your thoughts on that Josh Allen play at the end of the game?
at the end of the game, which the
The Cook's catch that they called a pick. We're all screaming because we think Buffalo gets a first down, and the
oh
guy
yeah,
strips it from him. What was your thoughts? Because I've seen it a million times, and I can't come
we
up with
talked
how
about
how
it
I.
that day.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think I got it right as far as what the NFL's saying. I don't know if I agree with it because I'm still confused because then it happened the next day, right?
right,
Pretty
right,
much
right.
the same. I think the whole completing the catch thing comes into play where it doesn't matter who completes the catch. Like, but my question is this, and I asked it on X and got nobody to respond to it. But like, I forget. I gotta pull that up. I had a couple good like analogies of like what happened. I mean, I feel like he Cooks catches the ball, he hits the ground, he's rolling over, and the guy takes it from him. I just don't know when the catch is completed. You know what I'm
At that
saying?
point, right? Yeah,
Yeah, you think it is, but was he really down? Did he come? Because
yeah,
if he completes the catch, if he catches it, if you take the defender out of last weekend and he rolls over and he's bobbling the ball a little bit and then he still holds on, you know what I'm saying? Like
right,
they'd be
right, right.
looking for all the completing the catch elements. So the completing the
Yeah,
catch element last weekend was the guy taking it from him. Do you see
right.
what I'm
I guess that
saying?
makes sense. No, 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 it totally makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. If somebody was telling me the other day at work, they're like, no, it should have been incomplete. I go, it can't be incomplete because the ball
Right.
never hits the ground. It never hits the ground. It can't. That's the only thing it can't be. It's either got to be a catch or a pick. What really bothered me. I don't say bothered me. I guess it surprised me was how quickly, because I'm thinking catch. They're in field goal range. This thing's over. Everybody knows my family's huge Buffalo Bills fan, so I follow them as well. All of a sudden, I look. I'm jumping up out of my seat. I'm screaming, and the referee goes, "Boom!" I'm like, "What?" Because I never even
Yeah.
saw it in real speed. You don't see McMillan take the ball from him initially. Until you see him get up and start dancing and running to the end zone, because that's what they do now. Like, I was like, "Oh shit, he has the ball." Like, okay, show me again. That all happened too fast.
Let me throw this out at you. This is I thought of this, kind of that same day or the next day. I put on X. It says if Cooks did what he did, meaning catch and roll like he did, right on the
Right.
sideline, and he was in bounds when he did all that, and
Mm-hmm.
then the McMillan, the defender, as they're kind of falling out of bounds, rips the ball out of his hands while McMillan, and Cooks were out of bounds. Would it be incomplete? Do you know what I mean? Or are they going to call
Right.
Cooks catching the ball, hitting the ground with his knee, right? One knee equals 2 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's caught the ball, but as he's spinning out of bounds, the ball gets ripped by McMillan, with the refs now say, because it can't be an interception because they're all out of bounds. But it's like, is it different because, it was in the middle of the field versus on the sideline? And the other point I brought up is this. What if the referee instantly called a catch? Right? Would they have gone to
Mm-hmm.
review it to see if that was
The
the
answer
case?
is I know if the answer to that is yes, they would have.
Okay, so then why didn't they do that the other way?
I don't know. Yeah, because you're supposed to review all turnover, like, aren't you? Not all turnovers, I guess.
Well,
No, they do. They do.
They do it without having to officially do like the.
Yeah, it's like the expedited deal where
Yeah, they just do it to make. They confirm it, and they can. I guess they
well,
confirm.
the craziest thing about that play at the end is that Buffalo calls timeout.
Right.
Except for it doesn't matter because they already decided. It didn't. Now I think Buffalo, what they were trying to do was to kind of slow it down, but I don't think when McDermott calls the timeout that at that point they can go back and change it. I don't think they can.
No,
So
right. No.
I think he was as confused as we were.
I think the problem
So
with
like
all
at
of
that
it was the
moment,
clarity
I was
of
like,
it.
oh shit, because I know the right. So I think that's why I think they should have called it a catch. And if you want to review it at that point, go review it. Right. Just like they nowadays, like when it's like a screen pass that might be lateral, it might be forward. They always let it play out. And I like this rule.
Oh, right.
And you see the guy pick it up and run it in. They keep it live, right? And then at that point they fix it. Well, at this play, if you instead of calling it a pick, even if it is a pick, call it a completion. And at that point, then you can challenge it if it's going to be challenged by the booth. Well, as soon as you call an interception, it cannot be challenged, essentially, obviously, because they weren't allowed to. So,
yeah, I just think there's a weird line in there that's so blurry of catch. Those are just, but what's crazy is that, it happened almost exactly the next day.
And got called the other way.
They've got to clarify. I think they got to come out in the off season and just basically say, dual hands on the ball when they're both on the ground is offense. Everybody knows that.
It's been that way forever.
They got to talk about the completed catch part. Even if the guy's knees are on the ground, he's got the ball in his hands and somebody takes it away from him. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with whatever they determine, but
yeah, because at that point, that doesn't make sense though. Because at that point, you have no idea if Cook rolls and the ball falls out. Obviously, it's incomplete, right?
Correct.
So, but what I think they should button up is on that when a dual possession play happens, call it a catch, and then allow the booth to slow it down. So hold on here, call it a catch. Let the booth come in and say, okay, no, he never completed the catch all the way to the ground. I think that's what they say, all the way to the ground now, or whatever they call it. And then you can look at it that way. It just happened so quickly, and they determined that it was a pick. And then at that point, I think we all knew that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't. It's just one of those weird ones that I think they needed to call it what you want. Maybe they got it right 100%, which cool. Slow as a ref, slow it down. Go to both sidelines. Mm-hmm. Don't let McDermott have to burn a timeout just to talk to the ref. And go, coach, here's the rule. Here's what we got. Your guy, da 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 da. The other guy came up with the ball. That, by our rules, is an interception. You could like it or not, but that's the rule. And I'm just coming over here to explain this to you because there's a lot of confusion out there, and we're going with that, and that's what it is. Boop, and run to the other sideline. Tell them the same thing.
It was like how this all started was that Dez Bryant. I'm sure you'll remember this. The Dez Bryant catch down the left sideline. Cowboys versus Packers. The ball gets thrown to like the 2-yard line. I still think it was a catch, even though at that particular time I had Green Bay to win the game, so I was lucky. And that's when this sort of all started. There's like a Calvin Johnson play where he catches the ball,
and puts
he's
like ball on the ground,
in the end zone, but he has 2 feet. But yeah,
well, yeah, he caught the ball and then put the ball like it's like a quarterback
in the ground.
Even though his hand was on it, they said it was on the ground. But I think at the time with Dez Bryant, it was like the ball. They had a rule in there that the ball couldn't move. Now, must have got a phone call, Cruz. The ball can move a little bit now. And are you there? You got me?
Hang on here. Uh-oh.
I got you. Anyway, the Dez Bryant play is the rule at the time was the ball can't move at all. So even though he made that move, and when he stuck his hand on the ground, the ball was jiggling in his arm. And, so I think at that time they got the call right. Let me try and get Cruiser back here. He took off on me. And I'm going to see if I can give him a new code to get him back in. We're pretty much done with the show this week. We're just going to have to wrap it up. See if that code still works. Anyway, good stuff this week. Yeah, got a lot in. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wrap this thing up without Cruz. Cruz must have got a phone call. Let me see if I can get him out. Maybe we'll bring it back in. Invite guest. Let's see if this works. Anyway, this is live on YouTube, but I'll be cutting all this out on the podcast angle with Cruz struggling to get in back in after. Oh, maybe.
I got kicked out. It kicked me out, and now it's back.
Oh, wow.
You hear me?
I've been talking to myself. No, I knew you were gone. I was just making the point of, at the time, the rule was you had to complete the catch to the ground, and you couldn't bobble, and you couldn't move at all.
At that particular time, that was the rule at that time.
And nobody, whether you thought it was right or wrong, because I remember saying that's not a catch, even though it was a catch. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But the rules were it couldn't move. Now they're constantly talking about ball can move a little bit as you're kind of repositioning it. They always say it. I think because of that. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to kind of finishing up the AI and technology piece. The camera angles are so good now. The slow motion so good. You see these guys. They're not necessarily trying to buy the call when they get up and say, I caught it. They feel like they really caught it. And then when they look at it, it just hits the ground like an inch before it hits their hands or something. And that's how tight some of this stuff is. So anyway, I think it's a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah, one last thing. We got to do game pick. We got to do. We got to know the game picks. We got to tell our listeners who do you think's going to win these games. We got to do game picks.
I'm going to go. I'm just going to pick straight up winners, not like.
Yeah, no. Just who's going to be in the Super Bowl?
I think the Patriots win. Cruz left again on me. I think Seattle wins at home. I just feel like they're on a roll and they're playing too good. That's going to be a tight one, but I think we're going to split and let Cruz. Oh, here he comes.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. You said Patriots what?
I said Patriots are going to win, and then I've got Seattle at home.
Okay. I'm going Patriots, and I'm going Rams because I think I'm going to pick the better quarterback in the game. I think Darnold turns the ball over 3 times, and the Rams win in a tight one.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be a good day of football. And then what's crazy is there's not much football left, and we got to wait for a long time to make a comeback. But it's been good. Well, listeners out there, like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us at that spot. Also follow us on Instagram at Coach and Cruz, and check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the stuff. Cruz, good seeing you.
Good to see you.
And stay warm out there, everybody from the pretty much Nevada or Colorado east, because California is nice right now. But take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.